Michigan is now tied for the lead in the Big Ten yet again after beating Nebraska. This was an unbelievably great game versus top 5 teams in the Big Ten. Yeah, I had to listen to it on WCBN, which is a Michigan student radio network on YouTube, who year after year is always awesome. They cover hockey when it's not televised, all the games, Michigan women's basketball. I love them. I had to listen over there, and that's okay, but Michigan won this game 75-72. But that wasn't the total story. Michigan didn't lead this game until 1:07 left in the entire game. Michigan finished with 19 turnovers to Nebraska's 11. Michigan had three-point makes, only 6 of them. Nebraska had 11 three-point makes, 10 in the first half. But eventually the officials realized that Nebraska was fouling Michigan and often. And Michigan finished 19-23 from the free throw stripe. That was awesome. To Nebraska's 3 of 4. So things balanced out in this game. Nebraska is a great team, of course, that got 13 steals as well. That's part of 19 Michigan turnovers, but 13 were great defensive plays. But they lost their first game of the year in Ann Arbor to Michigan, which is important because now, as I said, both teams have one Big Ten loss and they don't play again this season. So Michigan has a nice advantage going forward with the head-to-head versus Nebraska, going into Friday's game with another one-loss Big Ten team who survived Rutgers in overtime. At the same time, Michigan was beating number 5 Nebraska, and that is Michigan State. Michigan plays Michigan State on Friday, and it is in East Lansing, the Breslin Center. Michigan's leading scorer in this game was Morez Johnson with 17 points. He had 8 early, real quick. He's the Energizer Bunny. That's what I keep saying about him for Michigan. He does what the team needs early, and then he does what they need him to do late. 7 others for Michigan had 7 points or more, but none over 11. Michigan's depth and versatility and willingness to share the ball and just the Dusty May, that's what saved Michigan in this game, really. The first half was 50-48 Nebraska. Michigan was down 2, but 50s. The second half was a totally different story. It was 27-22. Michigan winning the second half. All right, so here's the recap. Michigan's defense, like I said, was going to happen, suffocated Nebraska once they figured it out. You know, as I was watching, I put on the chat there at WCBN that Michigan was playing rope-a-dope, and they were just figuring it out. They'll get the knockout punch in the end, and they did. But let's go the recap here. It was number 3, Michigan, 18-1. Versus number 5, Nebraska, 20-0. Michigan was favored in this game by 11.5 points, and I thought, that's nuts. That's stupid. We couldn't beat the 16-point spread versus Ohio State. What makes you think we're going to beat Nebraska by 12? I thought it was going to be a close game. Even though it was at home and everything, the crowd was rocking. My brother actually went to this game. I can't imagine with the emotions that he went through. But in the end, Michigan won. All right, in the first half, it started like this. 20 seconds in, Jacobson had a layup for Nebraska. Then Johnson made one of 2 free throws. He missed one. But then he had a layup. I said he scored early for Michigan. Lawrence hit a 3. Rutgers had 10 threes in this first half. The guy, the commentator for WCBN, I picked up Gel at the end, so that's what I'm calling him. Gel. Lucky Charm wants to come say hi to everybody. Gel hit a 3. But then an alley-oop from Cadeau to Burnett was awesome. It was 8-5 at the under 16 TV timeout. Burnett had a layup off a pump fake from 3. That was beautiful. Good job. That's what we needed to do. Michigan started jacking threes late, mid second half in this game, and I thought, just use your size and go win this thing. But Gel had an offensive putback. Johnson hit a 3, but Sanford with his threes were huge. He hit one. Johnson had a layup. Then Lawrence answered with a layup. It was back and forth, 50-48, as I said. Johnson then, 1 of 2 free throws again. Darn it. He's one of the better free throw shooters of Michigan. Missed some early. Sanford hit another 3. And then Hoiberg was a good player for Nebraska today. He had a layup, but Gale answered with a layup. Lawrence layup. Mara had a layup. Lawrence hit a 3. And then he hit another 3 right after that, giving Nebraska a big lead. But Mara then hit a layup. And then Lawrence, he hit another 3. Cadeau answered with a 3 of his own for Michigan, and then Landenberg had a layup. It was a busy stanza of play as the stoppage for the under 12 TV timeout didn't come until 9:17 left in the first half. Almost the under 8 TV timeout. It was 31-25 Nebraska at that point. Hoiberg hit a 3 out of that to give them an 8-point lead. Kason hit a layup. Curtis hit a layup. It was 36-27 shortly, after that. And it was the under 8 TV timeout. McKinney hit a 3. Thank goodness. McKinney needs more play. I think he deserves more time than Burnett, maybe, going forward. Curtis hit a hook shot, a 9-foot hook shot. It was awesome. Nebraska was good. Nebraska was making shots. They were awesome in this first half. Johnson hit a jumper and 1. He made the free throw, but Sanford hit 2 free throws of his own. Hoiberg hit a layup. McKinney hit another 3 for Michigan. And then Cadeau with his 33-footer that he made. He always has one of those in a game, if not 2. Only 1 in this one. Hoiberg answered with 2. And I was saying, who can make the most threes? If Nebraska's going to be drilling threes, then Michigan probably has to hit some of their own. The team listened to me a little bit too much because they kept jacking them. You don't have to do that. But, first and foremost, use your size. Maybe you have to hit a 3. But they were jacking them before it was needed and missing. So it was 44-39 Nebraska with 3:42 left in the first half. And Burnett made an and 1. So we were making traditional threes, the old-fashioned threes. But Sanford hit another 3, and then another 3 right after that. Burnett laid one in, Mara laid one in, and then Mara jammed one home as time expired in the first half, basically. It was 50-48. Nebraska still had the lead at halftime. Michigan had 8 first half turnovers. Nebraska was 10 of 19 from 3. Yet it was a 2-point game because Michigan was shooting 66% from the field. Not so much from 3, but when we got to the paint, we were making it. And in the second half, Sanford had a layup to give Nebraska the 4-point lead early in the second half. Yaxel made 2 free throws. Lawrence had a layup. That's pretty much all it was. There was a lot of bad play. So, unlike the first half, a lot of bad play to start the second half. Defenses were locking down. And it was 54-50 at the under 16 TV timeout in the second half. Yaxel then hit a layup. Curtis layup. Hoiberg layup. Jacobson layup. So 3 layups, probably off turnovers. From what I could understand listening to this game, it wasn't good. Michigan had to call a timeout at 12:40. Landenborg out of that timeout, hit a floater. Sanford hit another 3. But Johnson slammed one home. It was 63-56, Nebraska. They were up at 7 points at the under 12 TV timeout. Sanford hit 1 of 2 free throws. Cheddar came in and hit a 3, and he made free throws later. He is an unsung hero of this team. Another no call on a Michigan drive wasn't called. And in the chat, I kept saying, we'd drive it. Instead of jacking threes, maybe we would drive it more if we were getting those calls. But we weren't getting the calls. So what are we to do at that point? But we stuck with it. Jacobson hit a jumper. McKinney finally got a call from 3, and he drilled all 3 free throws. And then Cheddar hit 2 free throws for Michigan. Calls were starting to happen. The refs were seeing what Nebraska was doing to Michigan later in this game. Jacobson hit a floater. Mara hit 1 of 2 free throws. Hoiberg hit a layup. Cheddar answered with a layup. It was 70-67. Nebraska, with under 4 minutes left in this game, and Michigan has never led this game. All game. Yaxel hit 2 free throws. Lawrence hit a layup. Johnson hit 2 free throws, so we made them down the stretch, but Cadeau only made 1 of 2 free throws. McKinney got Michigan's first lead of the game with 1 minute and change left, like I said, 107. And a turnover. Mara got 1 of 2 free throws to give Michigan a 3-point lead. And I was saying, damn, just 1. Just 1 of 2, Mara, please. And that's what he did. And Michigan had a 3-point lead. Leading to Nebraska calling a timeout with 10 seconds left in this game. Obviously, they need a 3. They missed a couple of them. They got the rebound, and they called another timeout with 1.6 seconds left in this game. So they can inbound it and hit a 3, and we go to overtime. Hoiberg missed the 3 to tie this game, and Michigan won 75-72. And as I said, all 3 of those teams, and maybe is Purdue still 1 loss in the Big Ten? I don't know. But Michigan State, Michigan, Nebraska, all 1 loss now. Michigan could get a stranglehold of this conference on Friday night if they beat Michigan State at the Breslin Center. Yes. What a game. We needed this one big time. We got it. Go Dusty May. Second half, Nebraska couldn't hit the 3s. And Michigan's defense constricted. This team, the boa constrictor for Michigan football that Joel Klatt said a couple years ago, it's possible this basketball team has that type of mentality. Fourth quarter, we have the depth. We are fresher than you in the later second half. And that's exactly what happened in this game. Nebraska could have won like Wisconsin beat us if they would have just made 1 more 3. But they only finished with 11. Wisconsin had 15. So there you go. My recap, my thoughts on the game. Michigan, survives and advances, now 19-1 in their first 20 games of the season. And Michigan State is next. Let's go blue, baby.